is a poem for every single person that's told me that racism doesn't exist. A letter for Tamir Rice. When I first read of your death, scratch that, assassination, I was already spent on grief for Emmett, Amadou, Oscar, Eric, Trayvon, Manisha, and Mike. My well of mourning is running dry. I'm drawing on the coppers at the bottom of the wishing well. It's hard but necessary to be reminded so fucking frequently that we, this strange fruit, will never be too far from the lynching tree. You left your house that day armed with ambition, loaded with hope and ready to explode with potential. Like fireworks across the Cleveland skyline commemorating the new year, you weren't allowed to enter. And I remember what it was like to be a 12-year-old black boy. It was hard enough to keep my mind clear, without being burdened with the knowing that from birth until death, you will live your life inside the eye of a crosshair. Potentially just 28 hours from death by police or death by racially motivated murder. Constantly shrinking yourself to fit into inhospitable places governed by people who think they're doing you a favor by letting you breathe. And it's wrong. You had to adjust to life in a world where the humanhood of blacks must be asserted daily. This is not the peace of justice Dr. King and his generation marched in solidarity for. And it's unfair that the media will question your skill at living cautiously rather than your right to live happily. But they will not probe why one of your murderers was a frontline officer despite being deemed unfit for policing. And the mainstream media will partake in the assassination of your character. You will be presented as the villain rather than the victim of a modern-day lynching. The inquest into your murder will be nothing more than perfunctory. And the grand jury will decide that your death certificate was not signed when the 911 dispatcher asked the caller whether you were black or white, not once, but twice. They will not apportion accountability for your killers, giving you just 2 seconds to react to their supposed cause of get your hands up before shooting you twice in the gut and forcing you to spend 4 of your final conscious minutes in the presence of your killers, deprived of your right to first aid, or the blessing of having your sister by your side as you died and bled into the afterlife. I'm sorry you never lived long enough to learn that the difference between childhood mischief and presumed criminal juvenility is not the difference between an authentic firearm and an imitation, but the difference between black skin and white skin. Dear Tamir, I promise to write down and speak up until the world and in years to come, the history books speak of your name and the countless others in the same breath as genocide.